You go guard the prisons, lady.
No further comment, including the state not answering questions about if the 11 suspended workers are prison staff or the National Guard troops used to fill in during the strike. It's the second death at Midstate this year, only a few months into 2025. An inmate died after being found unresponsive at the Auburn prison in February, just last month. And then Brooks in December makes 4 deaths in 4 months. Christy.
Andrew.
Well, you tell Governor Huckle that we're not going back to work in those prisons until we can go back to holding accountable the prisoners. Because we're we're wildcats, and we're going to keep on striking.
And we are back with some more New York State Correctional strike, all right? We all know that right now they are going on a strike. Not to mention, we just had another death in a prison across the street from where Mr. Robert Brooks was unalived, all right? This right here is Messiah Natnui, 22-year-old inmate who was serving 5 years on a weapons possession charge. Can you believe that? You're serving 5 years to rehabilitate yourself. Just because he's a criminal, he was convicted, doesn't mean he's not allowed a second chance. Let's not be that ignorant, all right? So there's been 4 unalivements, all right? We're going to say unalivements. There's 4 of them within the last 4 months. I haven't heard not one correctional officer being unalived. So now y'all let me know, is there a real serious issue here? Do we have an underlying issue happening? Hey, listen, I call a spade a spade. Sit back and react with your boy. If you like reactions like this, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell. If you have a story to tell, hit me up on my DM. Let's go.
The death of an inmate over the weekend at a prison outside of Utica.
But we do know
Crazy.
people from Midstate Correctional have been suspended following the inmate's death. News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan has been tracking developments on the case, which are already on the governor's radar, Andrew.
Yeah, Jeff, the governor was asked about this death by reporters in New York City, which shows this is already getting statewide and national attention. The inmate who died on Saturday is 22-year-old Messiah Natnui, but a state correction spokesperson hasn't said how he died. Natnui was serving a 5-year sentence for a gun conviction out of the Bronx. Midstate Correctional Facility is a 3-minute drive from the Marcy Correctional Facility, where inmate Robert Brooks was beaten to death by officers in December. Some of those officers are now charged with murder. In the Midstate case, 11 staff members have been put on administrative leave as investigators work to determine if this had anything to do with the officers' actions.
First, I'd like to say that any death in custody is certainly a tragedy. But upon immediately learning of the death of the individual, we made a referral to an independent investigation by the Attorney General's office and the state police, as well as placed staff involved in the incident on administrative leave.
Now, if you ask me, I say this should open up every case. Every case. Anyone who's unalived in the prison, they should open up the case. Why? There may be some lies. There may be some untold truths. You understand? We need to have transparency. There were so many, how can I say, inmates that were allegedly unaliving themselves. I think those need to be investigated the most as well. Who knows? Maybe a lot of unalivements are miscategorized. You understand what I'm saying? We may need to really have a real independent source to handle these issues, because how are they investigating themselves? That is, to me, that baffles me right there. Let's continue.
Due to that ongoing investigation, I have no further comments at this time.
No further comment, including the state not answering questions about if the 11 suspended workers are prison staff or the National Guard troops used to fill in during the strike. It's the second death at Midstate this year, only a few months into 2025. An inmate died after being found unresponsive at the Auburn prison in February, just last month. And then Brooks in December makes 4 deaths in 4 months. Christy.
Andrew.
You go guard the prisons, lady.
Guys, PSA. If you have a loved one that's at Midstate Correctional Facility, please check on them. I'm getting word, I got word yesterday that an incarcerated individual has been unalived by the beating of the CERT team. So guys, if you have someone, please check on your loved one.
She works in the inside.
As far as name, then, or where, but please check on your loved one, please.
Like, a lot of these unnecessary deaths come from nurse staff that's corrupt. Like, even
I believe
if you look
that.
at Robert Brooks' video, they sitting there watching somebody be pummeled.
We saw
to
that,
death.
and they were
How can
laughing.
we trust these people without Medicare? They don't serve us. They can know you have underlying ailments. They don't give you the proper medicine. They give you a hard time to get anything. You could be struggling with anything, and they're going to give you a hard time to receive the proper medication, the proper care within the proper range of time.
That's foul.
And we can talk about the brutality, the isolation, pulling somebody from either a housing unit, a dorm unit, a block, cell block. And once they isolate you, they have their way. The first thing they tell you to do is put your hands on the wall. If you don't put your hands on the wall, they're going to spray you and say you're being aggressive. Put your hands on the wall,
Wow.
they're going to cuff you and beat you up. Everybody knows in the state of New York, the typical thing that the police do, they cuff you, and the first thing they do is throw you down a flight of stairs. That's like, everybody knows this in jail. I've seen it happen plenty of times.
That's inhumane.
I have been, half my body has been caught between the gate with officers on each side, either kicking me or hitting me with sticks. I've been in situations like that.
I went down to Coxsackie Correctional Facility to speak with New York State correctional officers who are currently on strike, not only there, but around the state. And I used to be a prisoner there, so I know a little bit more about what's going on than your average Joe. And I want to break down to you their three main complaints, and I'm going to go in depth. So I'm going to make this a three-part series, starting off with number one, HALT. What is it, and what's the reality of it? So HALT is legislation that New York State passed preventing docs from putting somebody in solitary confinement for longer than 15 days. And I spoke about this with officers, and they were saying how that there's been an increase in violence, and there's assaults on staff and weapons and all like that. And I said, whoa, isn't there exemptions from HALT? Can't you guys still put people in solitary for longer than 15 days if they're doing something like assaulting staff or using weapons? And they said, well, yeah. So their whole thing about HALT, yes, for the
It's
vast
bullshit.
majority of infractions committed by guys in prison, they can't be held for more than 15 days. But for anything serious, like assaulting staff or weapons, like they keep talking about it with everybody, they can still be put in there for months or even years. So in my opinion, that right there, keep HALT.
Did you guys see the announcement that everybody on strike that does not return to their job, by today, they are fired? And I actually think it might be worse than that. I was just watching a live, and the woman said she can't return to her work because she just received a text message saying that she was fired.
Hey,
She tried to warn you. She
thought
told you
you
to go back to
call
work.
her bluff?
I mean, you took an oath to serve and protect. That is not what you were doing. The only people you were serving was your own kind. And the only people you were protecting was your own. So, I can't say she was wrong. And what's going to happen in the coming days, I mean, I think we all already know that. They're just going to have the National Guard in there doing the CO's jobs until they can replace those people.
Yep.
So, but let's be honest, they're probably just going to reapply and get their job back and just accept that they lost. But that's not good. And this is why this ain't good. Because they're probably going to take it out on the inmates. Let's be honest.
That is a fact.
Chris Tagg, a New York State rep that has been at the striking officers' protest. Rudy Pavlin, a retired New York corrections officer. All right, Rudy, I go to you first on this.
By the judge of it, Rudy looked like he's an a-hole. He looked like he's the no-nonsense officer that has the biggest ego on the yard. You understand? Not to mention, man, these officers are really taking things out of context. They're taking it too far. They're making it seem like they're being straight victimized and there's nothing they can do. My thing is, you were taught this from little. If you don't like something, you got to do something about it. No one is forcing any one of you to work where you're working at. You could easily do a career change. However, you choose not to. Now that they've been stripping something away from you, which is something called control and power, now all of a sudden, you want to act like a negative Nancy. That's how you guys are coming out at this point. The proof is in the pudding. You guys are being exposed at this point. What is next? What is next?
I look, having seen some of this stuff, I've toured some of these prisons. You can't work a 77-hour week and maintain, high alert.
They cannot. They're getting exhausted, and it's just too much. No time with their family, and they're just making them stay.
Yeah, but Chris, as this whole thing unfolds, they're not asking for more money. They're not asking for better benefits. They're asking for literally like a 40-hour work week. They're saying, hey, we're tired of 2,000 people getting assaulted.
Yeah, right.
They're looking for better conditions
probably love overtime
where they work in their facilities, and they're looking to not have all these safety and security issues. And this is what we've been talking about ever since the HALT Act came out.
I got to stop it right there. One thing I know that city workers, state employees, city employees, one thing they go hard for is overtime, extra time. You think that if all they can work is 40 hours a week, that'll be it? These guys make a lot of money doing overtime. And they get to retire early. So they're going to try to put in as much time as they can and get as much money as they can before it's time to retire. Remember, they only got to do 20 years and that's it. They don't have to stay there 40, 50 years like most other jobs do or requires you to. I'm not saying that it's okay for an inmate to assault an officer. However, if you do some investigation, I can guarantee you that many of those officers, all right, not saying that it's justified, but however, you have to look at the root cause. You can't sit here and tell me that most of these people are not just retaliating. I guarantee you most of it is retaliation to the officer based on something they did to the inmate. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. It's just like working with animals. If you become cruel to the animal, eventually they're going to start biting you. This is just how it works. They will be scared in the beginning, but eventually they're going to start biting back, and that's what's happening right now.
And you brought it up earlier, 76% attacks on staff, 169% attacks inmate on inmate. Mm-hmm. This just can't continue to go on. And these people are working way past the amount of time that they should. They're not asking for more money. They're not asking for better benefits. They're looking for safety and security where they go. Would you send one of your family members to work if they knew it was an unsafe, unsecure place? Absolutely not.
Good evening. Peace and blessing to all who are supporting the men who are wearing state greens and are standing strong in this trying time. I am an incarcerated individual being housed in Greenhaven Correctional Facility, and I am here to speak on the impact that the legal strike is having on me, other incarcerated individuals, and our families. I want to start by thanking True Voices from Within for sharing the truth with the public, because we cannot allow this narrative to be one-sided.
Definitely not.
We all know there are three sides to every story: my side, their side, and the truth.
And the truth, as usual.
From past experience, we learned that the truth will always prevail, no matter the false narrative that's being promoted. Did you know that 75% of the prison population is returning back into society? The first question I want to ask the public is, how do you expect an incarcerated individual to become law-abiding members of society when those who are tasked with the job of rehabilitation are breaking the law themselves?
Kind of confusing.
We are 2 weeks into this illegal strike, and the impact is far-reaching. We have the National Guard here sleeping in the gym and in the visiting room area. They get to see for themselves that the violence here is at a minimum and not at extreme as what is being promoted by those rural correctional facilities in the media. Greenhaven is a reception facility, meaning men who are sentenced by the court have to be processed here before being transferred to the assigned prison. This process cannot happen because they are still being held at their respective county jails due to this illegal strike, which don't allow buses to move back and forth between county jails and the state jails. Also, those who are already incarcerated and are scheduled to be transferred to a prison close to their home cannot be transferred because of this illegal strike. Therefore, they have been stuck in transit in a Greenhaven Correctional Facility for the past 2 weeks with no property. They are wearing the same clothing with limited communication with their families. Ask
That's
yourself
foul.
if these conditions is humane. Furthermore, there are programs. Men who need to complete state-mandated programs in order to get released cannot fulfill these requirements because of this illegal prison lockdown. So, if your loved one get hit at the parole board, you can thank these rogue correctional officers for keeping your loved ones away from you for far longer than need be. Right now, there are no visitation at this time being allowed. This illegal strike is having a profound impact on all incarcerated individual ability to build and maintain family ties. We cannot see or harm our wives, mothers, and children. Do you know the positive impact our kids can have on an incarcerated individual's state of mind and behavior?
They probably going crazy in there.
It affected me and my family for the following reason. My lawyer was scheduled to come visit me to prepare me for my upcoming court date, but due to this illegal strike, my scheduled return to business will not be taking place, and my upcoming court date will have to be rescheduled, keeping me and others who are in the same predicament away from home, where our families are waiting on our retribution. I am asking all who stand for what's right to please contact the governor.
There you got it, folks. All right. I will make sure I have a part 2, 3, 4, and 5 to this right here. This will not stop till we get to the bottom of this right here. You got to understand. I look at it like this. Why is it a problem now? You guys are getting fat. And I'm talking about your pockets. Yes, the COs, your pockets was getting fat all of this time. And now all of a sudden, the overtime is too much. I doubt that. Extra money? You guys live on that. There's nothing to do up there but just go to work. You guys don't even enjoy your days off because you love to work too much. No one is forcing you to do anything. The same way you guys left and are striking, you had the opportunity to quit and you chose not to. Instead, you want to sit here and cry. To the good officers and the outstanding, respectful officers who go there to do their job the right way, I salute you guys. I know there's a lot of you out there, right? But you're not voicing your opinion. You guys are being quiet. So guess what? You're in the same boat as them. Go in the comments, run it up, flood it up. Let me know your thoughts on this right here. If you got any loved ones, put it in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. This story is getting crazier and crazier and crazier.